over to Kimchi, Park Seo-Jun, and What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, and
여보세요.
And we are back with part 2 of our discussion on Park Seo-Jun, Mkwenyi Wabantu, actor extraordinaire.
Oh, he's good.
He really is.
He's good.
Have you ever watched Dream?
No.
The movie?
Oh, I did! Yes, I did! I was not gonna miss it.
Listen, our dude's comedic timing is brilliant in Dream, but Dream is such a treat. It's a movie, don't worry, it's not 16 hours of your life, it's just 2.
No.
It's about a delinquent football player who gets tasked with coaching a homeless team to the Homeless World Cup of soccer, and getting this ragtag bunch of individuals to actually be a team.
Varying levels of health and age.
And very moving
ability.
There's basically one person who can actually shoot, and then the one who can be a goalie has been injured, like badly. So he has to train everyone from scratch, and also do this with a TV producer who is documenting every step of the way. Dream. That's
another one you need to check out. Listen, PSJ is out here doing, good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. But without further ado, what we will be discussing today is another one of his iconic characters, and everybody say it with me. Aura. The man with the aura.
The man of the aura.
Yes. What's wrong with Secretary Kim?
Oh, my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Absolute favorite. Oh, this drama here.
Also has some plot points that did not quite make sense. But we're going to get into it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, What's Wrong with Secretary Kim is a 2018 drama, also 16 episodes, also available on Netflix. So, get to watching. His co-star is the one, the only queen of office romance, Park Min-young, who was also girlfriend in her private life. And here, Uri Park Seo-Jun plays Yi Hyung-jun. Who is, as he will repeatedly tell us, a smart, rich, handsome,
intelligent.
Yeah. Actually, probably Mensa scale. I don't even know if Mensa has any levels and scales, but he would be at the top of it because. Also, why do you put him on the Mensa scale?
He just is.
That is for ordinary people.
Yeah.
He is extraordinary. And he is extremely handsome. As he will tell anyone who will overhear him.
But also, as he will tell Secretary Kim, as he's trying to get her to date him, marry him, all of these things.
It did not start there, but where it did start is episode 1. Where we meet.
Oh, guys, I love this drama so much.
Listen, I might call him Youngjun. I might call him PSJ.
It is what it is.
We'll see how I feel because tongue twisters are real. Anyways, so we start at this glitzy event, very glitzy event where he spies something. In the middle distance, and he is intrigued, and he is drawn in.
He's across the room.
Yes.
He looks that way, and it's just like...
Across the lawn, actually. It was a courtyard thing.
It was across the lawn, and it's just like...
Oh, what is that?
And then he starts walking.
And then some young ladies who are standing there like...
In the path, in his path.
Yes.
Like,
who've been doing this exposition of... Oh my goodness, he's a young vice chairman of this big group, handsome guy, the rumors say that he's never been seen really with a girl, or maybe he has dated. I can't remember what the rumors exactly were. Oh, he's coming my way. He's coming
our way.
Our
He's
way.
He's looking at you.
Let me print. Let me. Anyway, I did look good today.
What does
he is drawn to none other than his own reflection.
He does this. He doesn't even do that. He just walks through them.
Everyone out the way. Do not get in the way between me and me.
And then he gets to I guess it was a window that had like a mirror reflection type of thing. And it's just like, ooh. And then his secretary is coming with him. And then he's just like, yeah, Kimiso, what do you think? Doesn't it look amazing? Doesn't he look beautiful? And then she's just like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Put up on yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, so much aura. Aura. That's how we're introduced.
Yes. But at the same shindig is, he's busy mixing. I think it was an ambassador's dinner or something.
Yeah.
Networking, speaking in different languages with, speaking in Spanish to the Spanish ambassador, speaking in German to a German delegate who's there, English, Chinese to one of the businessmen who were also there. And so then after that, then at the end of the evening, on the limo ride back, wherever, then she says, I'm resigning.
Wait, he says, you did so well tonight. Thank you for catching the thing about the flowers and for the necklace. And also, I didn't know you could speak Spanish. And she's like, no, I don't know how to speak Spanish. I just kind of go according to the cue. I kind of read the situation and take a guess. And then there's certain signature or signs that, are part of the etiquette. I don't know. Part of the etiquette that I read, and then I kind of assumed then based off what was being said or the sign that this is what they meant. So that's how I did well. I can't exactly tell you what it was that they were saying, but I think I did well. And he's like, yeah, you did well. If there's anything you want, let me know. I'll give you anything that you want. And then
that's when she says, well, actually, I'm going to tender my resignation after working with you for 9 years. And he is flummoxed.
All hell breaks loose.
And then that's where he's like,
what do you mean?
Completely preoccupied wherever he is. He's
what do you mean?
Wait.
So he says yes to her. He says, okay, fine, if you want to resign, fine. But then it bothers him.
But
so
he's like,
much.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah. Sure. Whatever you want. But he does not sleep. He literally stops sleeping until later on. And he's asking, so his best friend, who is, let's see his name here, Park Seo-Jun in the drama, he's now the one who gets the brunt of the questions. Like, what does Secretary Kim mean when she says she wants to resign? Why does she want to resign? I'm the best there is. I'm handsome, I'm rich, I'm the son of a chebo, he names all of his attributes. And then Park Seo-Jun is like, but you also work her like a dog. She never has any free time. She's always with you. She works the hardest. She could basically run this company. And you love her so much as a secretary because she does a good job. And it's because you keep pushing her. So, you can't blame her if she wants to resign. And then PSJ gets angry with Yushik because then now someone is telling him the truth, but he doesn't want to hear the truth because then I'm perfect. Aura. Why are you trying to tell me that what I'm thinking is incorrect? Who do you think you are? Actually, submit your resignation tomorrow. We don't need a president. We don't need you as a president. We can replace you like this. So much just, so they've also got, so him and Yushik have that type of relationship. So Yushik will try and sneak in the truth here and there to kind of bring him down to earth. PSJ will get angry or upset. Oh, angry and upset is not the word. He get annoyed and threaten to fire him. But they actually have a really good relationship. And he is the best friend after all. So he does keep coming back to him.
He's the only friend.
Actually, he's the only friend. He does keep coming back to him for advice, even though sometimes he hates the advice, but then he does keep coming back to him for advice that he needs with the whole thing. So what's wrong with Secretary Kim? That's how we meet the two. Secretary Kim, and her name is Kimiso. Her real name is Kimiso, and then she is Secretary Kim, Kim Biso, and Lee Young-jun. they had that conversation in the car where she's like, I want to resign. Maybe I think the next day or two he asks her, so what are you going to do? Why do you want to resign? And then she's just like, well, I'm done paying off all of my debt now and I actually want to get married. And then he's like, excuse me, what you said? You are leaving me to go get married. What is that even? Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. I'll give you more money. I'll give you more fancy things. And she's just like, no, I don't need those things. I just want to have a normal life. I want to date. I want to get married. And it's just like, it's inconceivable in his mind. But then from there, then he starts plotting that, okay, if she says she just wants to get married,
I'm the perfect man.
I'm handsome, I'm rich, I'm the son of I'm the son of an international global conglomerate, Chebo. I've got everything she needs. I'm handsome. What more could she need? So then the plan is set into place and the devising commences to try and get her to marry him, to agree to marry him. And obviously Secretary Kim is like, no. How do you even... But there's also a backstory, there's a history that they have that is slowly unraveling as we go on. So it turns out that Lee Young-jun has an older brother, and because of how smart Young-jun is, the brother got jealous, I guess, because of the attention. He was smart, he was always beautiful and handsome as a child even. But anyways, he would bully Young-jun. He would just make his life basically living hell as the little brother. And then what happens is that one afternoon, he led Young-jun into a shady part of town and with the intention of leaving him there for him to figure out a way home by himself. What ends up happening is that Young-jun gets kidnapped by a lady who we find out later on had a situation with her own child that had died. So now basically any other child that looks that age is her child, and she was just on another path. And so Young-jun gets kidnapped, and a few days later, Miso also gets kidnapped, and they end up by the same woman. So they end up in the same house, and it's the two of them now trying to fight for their lives. There's no food. They're being held hostage or captive. They're tied up, and this woman is like literally losing her mind, and she's yelling at them, screaming at them. But then they get through it through difficulty and some hectic trauma. And then at the end of all of that, you just gotta go watch it for yourself, because that's also something that in the amount of times I've watched it, I always skip over that because it's just a lot. But they end up, they bond to the experience, of course, and Miso at the end, when they now make it out of that house, she's like, okay, one day I'm gonna marry you, Oppa, and he's just like, no, you can't marry me. But then anyways, that's for later. So now they've got this childhood history experience together, trope ticked. And when Miso starts working for the company, Young-jun recognizes her immediately because he's never forgotten. Also with his intelligence, he doesn't forget anything. Like everything that has happened or that happens, like he commits it to memory, it doesn't go away. So he recognizes her, but she forgets him and doesn't recognize him when they meet for the first time. But then because of their shared history, I guess I also couldn't understand exactly, not that I didn't understand, but then basically from their first meeting, he was a director at that time. And then he worked the system in such a way that she was going to be a secretary somewhere else, but then he managed to get her application through to his department so that she would be his secretary. And then that's then how they became boss and secretary. And they worked together for 9 years. She's traveled with him. She's grown and she's improved. They've fought. She resigned at a certain point early on when they were in the States. I can't remember if they were in the States or something. And then he took her back. And but they've been through the most in this 9 years, and now he is now vice chairperson, and now she says that she's going to resign, and he's just like, I can't fathom. And this is now the story of what's wrong with Secretary Kim. So what's wrong with Secretary Kim is PSJ asking, what's wrong with her? Like, why would she want to resign? Why would she want to leave me? The other thing that is interesting is the relationships around them, especially with the older brother, because then older brother now also, he comes back into the country. He left because, how could I forget the most critical thing? So yeah, older brother kind of put the kidnapping, not the kidnapping, he put the letting him get lost in a random part of town plan into motion. He ends up getting kidnapped. When the whole thing unravels and, PSJ comes back home, older brother then, I guess maybe it was the realization of the magnitude of the whole thing of his brother being kidnapped and being lost for days and they couldn't find him and whatnot. He internalizes and makes it to himself seem as though he was the one who was kidnapped. And this thought, I don't even know what to call it, sticks with him. He believes it so solidly that shortly after he got back home, he threw a tantrum because why is Yoongjuna upset? I'm the one who was kidnapped. It was your fault that I was kidnapped, Yoongjuna. Why would you be the one who's crying and throwing a tantrum when I'm the one who was kidnapped? And the parents don't know what to do. They don't know they don't know how to deal with the whole thing, because then they know that the younger son was kidnapped, but now all of a sudden the older son is the one who's saying I was kidnapped. It's just like a whole mess. So then what Yoongjuna does to save the situation, which is also where I have very many question marks about the parents and the decisions that they made, but Yoongjuna decides that he's going to make as though he forgot the whole thing to bring peace to the situation, bring peace to the family. And he falls off his chair. When they pick him up again, he can't remember what his name is. He can't remember what happened. He has no recollection of the kidnapping situation. And then that's how then they grew up. So they were like 9 and 11 at that time. And they are now 30, in their mid-30s. So it's been quite a few years since it happened, but then that's been their relationship since then, and their relationship has been strained since then. And the relationship with the parents is also strained to an extent because of all of that. And later on, the truth comes out. It's not nice. It's actually very rough for everyone involved, because then now the parents also have to come to realization of the part they played in the whole thing. The brothers have to somehow reconcile and put the past behind them. Meanwhile, older brother has carved Kimbiso on the side here, and he's very interested and he's pursuing her hard. Ngapha Yoongjuna is like, you're not gonna touch Kimbiso because she's mine. She's my secretary. Like, she's, as much as you think that you've got a hold on her or you've got a chance with her, you've got no chance with her because Kimbiso is mine. Like, leave her alone. So there's all of that that's going on as not even a backdrop. It's like side by side to Kimbiso's and Youngjuna's relationship, but then there's also all of this going on here on the side. It's lovely. It's really lovely. And that was also like
that's a huge spoiler, actually, that whole storyline about because from the get-go we don't actually know. Kim Miso has forgotten everything about the kidnapping incident. So Youngjuna is the only one who actually remembers and knows the whole story, but we only know that he knows the whole story at towards the end when things are coming to a head. We just know that Kim Miso has arachnophobia, and Youngjun cannot stand the sight of cable ties. Yes. And she's never been able to figure out why. Of course, Youngjun knows exactly why, but she's never been able to figure out why. But she now trains the incoming secretary that just don't ever use cable ties. Do not ever use cable ties. He
anywhere
freaks
near
out.
him.
Just don't. And of course, the newbie secretary makes that mistake, and he freaks out. Also on her side, Kim Miso, she had been working so hard for 9 years, didn't go to university because she's the youngest in the family.
Three girls. mom and dad. Mom passed away when they were still young.
Yeah.
So it's just the three girls.
Around the
and
time
my
that she was
dad.
kidnapped.
Yeah.
So dad makes some dubious financial decisions. And then the older sisters, both of them did go to university. But who was putting them through university and paying off the family debts? It was Kim Mi-so. So that was another thing that I found really weird. I'm like, how is the youngest, the one who is sacrificing her youth, basically, that she could be eating, how is she the one who's sacrificing for the adult, the father, and paying off his bum loans, and him co-signing security for a friend's loan who then disappeared, and also for her older siblings to go through. One became a psychiatrist, and then the other one became she worked in a urology office. I couldn't quite figure out if she was the nurse or the doctor, but they didn't really go into it. And this 9 years of putting up with Young-jun, and she was putting up with him. She was just putting up. There was no feeling at all in a romantic sense from her side.
Yeah.
Don't know when she eventually started seeing the softer sides of Young-jun as he was, being Mr. Braggadocious. She started seeing the softer sides of him, and we're like, oh, okay.
I see there's more to it.
There's a human behind all of this aura.
Because she was the number one person calling him a narcissist, calling him like the bossiest person ever. Like she just did not like him as a person.
Yeah.
She was just doing her job.
Yeah. And when she got to the 9 years and paid her last payment, that's when she was like, sayonara, dude. And that's when he went into high gear. The thing is, now if you look back on it, all the time he knew Uguti, she was the one who he had been stuck with in that kidnapping situation. And he never told her. Instead, then she meets Morpheus, that was the older brother's pen name. And he was a wildly successful author.
Yeah.
And she was a fan of his, actually. And then procured him to be the talent at the opening of the library that the company was building.
Yum.
Yeah. And, now she's intrigued. Of course, he's got all the celebrity around him as well. She doesn't know that it's the brother of Young-jun. And then when she figures out that someone in the family was the one that she was stuck in there with, she didn't even know who. And now Ngapa, there's this guy who claims certain memories as his own, but she's also spied scars on Young-jun's legs. It's like the first time she's seen them. She's like, what happened there? It's like, no, something happened.
So the other thing is that with her resigning, so she wants to get married, she wants to date and get married, but then she also wants to find the guy that she was trapped with. And her investigations are leading him to this family. But she thought it was Young-jun, but then Young-jun denies it when she confronts or she asks him about it. He flat out denies it. Then she ends up thinking that it's older brother. Older brother is like, yes, please, it is me. It is I am the one. Because also remember, he's also got that idea that he was the one who was kidnapped, so he holds on to it with both hands. Because also he's also got intentions of dating her because he likes her so much. So he's like, okay, that's the thing that I've got. I'm gonna hold on to it, and this is the thing that's gonna connect us. So yeah.
So the fact is, PSJ knew all of the time, and that makes us side eye the whole situation. Like, bruv,
what is this?
That's a major plot hole.
What is that?
That is a major plot hole. So
you knew, and you said no.
You knew, and also you made her life a living hell initially. Yeah, fine. It was because she was actually underqualified.
Yeah,
severely underqualified. Of all of the applicants who applied to this assistant post, she was the one who had nothing in her resume.
She didn't go to university. Yeah. The other applicants had been to Harvard, all these Ivy League schools, and it was
proficiency in different foreign languages. Yeah. And he chose Kim Mi-so because he remembers Kim Mi-so, and he wanted to keep her close. And so in that, then he was tough on her, like making her learn Japanese by force. Like, what, you can't answer a phone and interact with a client from Japan. Like, that's not gonna fly. Japanese, she was not sleeping. Yeah. She mastered Japanese, and he would spot test her in his office. Like, okay, let's converse in Japanese. That's done. Chinese next.
English.
Did not rest. Then English. Then okay, your English is fine, but your pronunciation could be better.
Yes.
This is 9 years in where she said something in English and he's like, but your pronunciation is a little bit off, and you're like, I'm gonna smack you.
He's like, you've come a long way. You've come a long way.
Upside the head. Shut up. In fact, you know what? Let me move forward the day of me actually leaving your employment, but she can't just leave. Now she's made the deal that she has to train the next person to be as proficient as her before she's allowed to go. So I think that's a period of
a month,
2-3 months.
Was a month. Oh,
yeah, and then he'll permit her to go, but of course in his mind he's just like delaying it so that he can charm her, pull the rug out from under her, give her all the heart flutters, bombard her with love. And that dude those are love bombing tactics
essentially. And also, so as much as I love this drama, I am not blind to also the unrealistic, I don't want to say unrealisticness, but then the love bombing tactics, the narcissistic ways of Young-jun, because he's not as bad as he is and She Was Pretty, but it's kind of like, hair raising, and your eyes go wide when you just see some of the things he does, some of the things he says, and the way he treats her, because of, I guess, his arrogance and the way he thinks so highly of himself, and not necessarily that everyone else is like there at the bottom and everyone is vermin, but then he just holds himself to just this whole nother level of I don't even know what to call it, but yeah, it's a bit rough to watch, honestly.
On second rewatch, and but one thing I will say is Park Seo-Jun was wearing those suits. Like he was listen, okay, so PSJ he models regularly, like for Chanel, for like he knows how to serve a look, in other words, and him in those suits in What's Wrong with Secretary Kim was chef's kiss. But his character was so eventually, like when we eventually find out the whole story about how he came to be who he is, he changed his own name. The parents had named him and his brother very similar sounding names, and so in order to distance himself away from his brother in this whole enmeshed situation, he also then changed his name. Like, he was highly intelligent, and he was the most emotionally intelligent, or nunchiest. Sorry, that I'm creating a new word. The one with the most nunchi in that entire family was actually Young-jun. But paradoxically, he was also the most arrogant. But did he have to... This... Questions needed to be asked, because did he become like that, or was he always like that? Yes, he was arrogant. Not arrogant, he was a very self-confident young boy. He, very intelligent, knew exactly what he was about, could run circles, I think, mathematically around, he did, around his big brother, which is why Big Brother was in his feels. But after that trauma, and then the secondary trauma of his brother stealing his memory, his entire identity, basically, and his parents doing nothing about it, and him having to be basically the adult in the situation, and saying, okay, you know what, we cannot live in this chaos. At 9, he was the one who decided, I cannot live in this chaos. Something's got to give. I'm going to be the one who gives. So I'm going to pretend I've forgotten my memories. They can name me whatever. They can give me whatever backstory. I'll pretend I don't remember being stuck for 3 days, cable tied, hands and feet, not able to move. This woman is carrying scissors around. She wanted to gwaza me. And then she
unalived herself.
Ended her own existence right in front of my very young eyes. Like, yes, I have intelligence, but I'm still a kid.
Stunted.
And all of this is happening, and I'm still a kid. And the parents are expecting me to just get over it for my brother's sake. The same brother who actually left me in that situation, and I got kidnapped. That was a messed up situation.
hella messed up.
That was such a messed up, and I think my empathy for the family dwindles every time I rewatch this thing, because I'm like, how could they put a 9-year-old and expect a 9-year-old to just get past this thing when none of them lived through that?
Because then also the reason why, one of the main reasons why he decided to then just take on the responsibility and change his identity for the sake of peace was because he overheard his mom and dad talking in their bedroom, and the mother was like, how could this happen to us, how could this happen to us, you know what, I wish I could die. So that already, having that woman's the woman who kidnapped him having died in front of him, hearing his mom saying the same thing,
and cavalierly as well, that she might, you know,
it just like
Again. They knew Guti,
yes,
where he had stumbled to the police station. He led them back to that house. The police were then able to collect the body of the lady who had ended her own life. So they knew the story and how it all played out, because he gave a good accounting for it, because again, he forgets nothing. And so to just casually say something about, oh, I might as well just die, knowing your son, like, ma'am,
as I said, very many
how are you not thinking about your own son?
Yeah, because also I think that was also, I think so, I don't want to say it's a clash, but then the disparity, I don't even know if it's a disparity, but then a lot of his actions were influenced by what happened there. And like you said, I wonder if it was then exacerbated by all of that, like his self-confidence that turned into something else because of the situation he found himself in. I don't.
So he had self-confidence. He knew who he was. He wasn't under no illusion about his own place in the world, I guess. In the intelligence pecking order. Anyways, and then I think half of the rest. Listen, if you've got a real life narcissist in your life, I'm absolutely not making any excuses for anyone. This is a fictional character. We are just discussing fiction.
Yes.
I think he used it as a defense mechanism.
Yes.
Because then he eventually figured out that if anyone's going to protect me in this world, it's going to be me.
Yes. Because that's where I was going, actually. Because then what he also realized is that he has to step up, number one. Number two, no one is asking him how he is doing. No one is asking. Everyone is in their own fields about his situation.
The one that he lived through.
Exactly. But no one is checking on him. Everyone is... I mean, even with the parents accepting the fact that he forgot the whole thing.
Listen, I think the less that we mention the parents from this point onwards, the better, because I'm feeling my eye twitch.
So that also informed, let's move on. So that also informed a lot of who he became, because then no one is asking, no one is taking care of him. No one is, so he's just like, okay, you know what? I'm fine the way I am. I am this person, I'm this person, I'm this person. I don't need nothing
and
else.
Also, how am I the one as the youngest, knowing what the thing to do in the situation, how to move us forward in this? Actually, in fact, all of you are idiots, basically. You have just proven this. So, I mean, do we blame him for going on in life and saying, actually, everyone else is an idiot and I'm the only one who knows how to do anything about anything?
But that's why I say, for me, it's hard as much as, because he's not as... cruel and vile as he is in She Was Pretty.
Yeah.
He's got his many faults and many flaws in What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, but I can't hold it against him because of
what we eventually found out about
the reason and
his
the
life.
breaking down of how he became the person that he became. And even at the end, then we actually discover that he actually has a soft side. He's very protective, even though he comes hard with it. Like, he literally wants to hold Kim Il-sung like this, and she has to be like, wait a minute, I was your secretary first. I was not your girlfriend. Hold on a minute. So you can't just tell me now, just because I'm your girlfriend, that I must stop doing work. Excuse you, who do you think you is? So eventually she also, like, you know, puts her foot down on a lot of things, and that also grows him. So we also see that as much as he had the emotional intelligence, he still has it and is still willing to expand and open up and adjust accordingly, because then the thought of losing Kim Il-sung obviously is not okay with him. Because why? What's wrong with you, Secretary Kim?
All of that to say this: if I met a real life Lee Young-jun, I would not date him. I would absolutely not. Woo! Because it took a lot to get to the soft middle part.
The thing is that it's the critical thing here is their childhood shared trauma. If it wasn't for that, it would not make sense for Secretary Kim to end up with him.
True.
It would not.
But also not with the second male lead in this situation because... What did you call it the other? Jag.
Ooh, what was his name again? Ooh.
I don't even... Yeah. Morpheus, we'll call him Morpheus. That was his pen name.
No. But Morpheus was also not an option for me. He is never an option.
Never an option. Like, he was just
shady.
No, he never...
Sus.
What happened with him is that he actually never even knew who he was. So the parents did neither of their sons a favor. I'm the one who brought up the parents again this time. And I said we're not going to discuss it again.
But it plays such a crucial, it's like such a critical thing.
They did none of those boys a favor. Because, okay, Koenki Dinkley, then he went on to become a writer of great imagination and a success in fictional writing because why? When he was 10, 11 years old, he created a whole situation in his head which tainted the rest of his brother's life. And he was then in his feels and aggressive about being in his feels towards his younger brother. And like you could see Young-jun, and if you replay the things after you find out what you know and you watch it a second time, you're like, yo,
it makes sense.
This dude had self-control. Hey,
he did.
Young-jun.
There's a phone call. There's a time when before the brother comes back, or just as he'd arrived back in Korea, older brother calls
demands to be seen.
Calls Young-jun up, demands to be seen, and then he has the Huan liver to ask him, don't you feel guilty? Don't you feel bad about what you did to me?
You should at least meet me and, meet me patch up this relationship because I'm willing to.
Yeah, I'm willing to forgive you. But you are not willing to, meet me.
Who's willing to forgive who?
Plane. And, I'm the one who went through that because of you, Young-juna.
Kanti. So no, second male lead in this situation was never an option. Ever.
Trash.
Ever. An option.
As soon as I figured out what was happening, because I didn't feel sorry for him because he was already from the get-go a bit sus. But also he was sus because he was moving in on Young-jun's territory. Yeah. And I was just like... And
moving in on Young-jun's territory, having clocked that he sees Uguti, this is the one woman that Young-jun has actually allowed close to him. So he clocked that, and then that's when he was interested in Miso, and I'm just like, you trash.
Yes. So already knowing that this person has some special, it's not determined, some special connection, some special meaning to Young-jun, and it's just like, he even said to him
that's the one I must not
so he even said, oh, what do you think? Do you think I'm gonna steal her from you? And then Young-jun also, he controlled him. There was so much control.
He had self-control. So much control. I think for that, I must give him...
I can't even like show him any kind of reaction because then he's going to use that and try and, manipulate the whole situation. And then he's like, so you think I'm going to steal her from you? And then Young-jun, after a few seconds of composing himself, is just like, that's not even on the table.
Remember that time? Was that the time they were in the study at home?
No, the situation at the study at home happened after. So when his brother came back, the mom kept on trying to get
forcing them to have dinner or lunch together.
So then that happened now after I think Young-jun was making solid tracks towards Miso now, really. He was seeing
there he was like, I'm not just trying to keep
there's some actually solid progress within our relationship. Like, I actually have real feelings for her. I don't understand her need. Oh, that was the other thing. Because Miso still wanted to find out who it was that was kidnapped with her. So then, that was the one thing that she refused to let go of. And no matter how hard Young-jun tried to dissuade her, she was just like, no, I need to know. And that was also one of the huge fights. One of the huge fights that they had, Kim Il-soo and Young-jun. So,
like, will it change anything?
Not necessarily that he would change anything, but he didn't want the truth to come out. Because remember, he's keeping the secret. No one knows the truth.
Because his entire family's mental health apparently depends on him keeping the secret.
Yes.
And so he can't even tell the person he was in the trenches with.
Yes. So even after they started dating now, okay, yes, you are my girlfriend, you're my boyfriend. when Kim So asked Young-jun, are you not the guy I was trapped with? He still denied it because of the implication of what that would mean. Because then Kim So is also close with his mom. She frequents his house, his home many times because of her being his secretary and how many times that he has to be around them. So there's some relationship between Kim So and her parents, and now his brother who's trying to force himself into her life. So he still denied it then, because he was just like, okay, if I say yes to her, I'm going to have to admit to it, but also I'm going to be opening a can of worms. And I'm not sure if my family can deal with it, because then they couldn't deal with it then.
They must just deal. The way I was so angry eventually.
They couldn't deal with it.
Just deal. Everyone is grown. Adults.
Clearly they were
above
not.
21, especially those grey-haired people.
Those two
called his mother. And did they ever do work? Because I mean, I'm calling him Song-jun. Young-jun. Song-jun was she was pretty. Young-jun.
Yeah.
Young-jun was the only one I ever saw at the office, and he was the vice chairman.
Yeah.
But the chairman himself was always playing golf or eating lunch with his wife.
But then now, like that's how it's been with what I've seen with the K-dramas I've been watching recently, where the chairman will be the one who's at home living he's retired, basically, quote unquote retired. He's still running the company. He's still getting information brought to him, and he knows exactly what's going on. But the person who's actually in house and in the building with all of the execs and the other is the vice. Because I mean, look at what is this? No Gain, No Love. There as well. Who's the CEO? Where's the chairman and his wife?
Fair.
Right. So,
but anyways, and it makes one wonder with how our dear parentage of Young-jun, how they even kept the company afloat before Young-jun became vice chairperson. Because I'm sorry, there's just there's no redeeming quality. Like, there's
but also remember how the chairman's wife, so now things are starting to be on the mend now, and then the wife had the mother, Young-jun's mother, and the brother had gone off shopping somewhere, and they come back to the house, and they find the chairman on his couch with the brother's book on his chest. And then she makes a joke, and she's also like, I wonder how he ran this company, because he will read 2 sentences and he's out. So
I can completely see 15-year-old Young-jun, smart as he is, basically making money moves. I could actually see that.
Yeah. So he was very, very he matured early,
too early.
quickly because of his intelligence, but then also that traumatic situation just went and leveled him up.
Highly parentified. Actually, both of them were. And that's when we had that conversation.
Well. Yes,
so that's when we had that conversation where we were like, actually, when you think about it, they were the stalwarts, the pillars of their family, and that is such an unfair thing to place. Maybe I'm just advocating for the youngest person. But still, it was an unfair thing because why was Miso on the one hand the one who had to take care of the family debt, and why was Young-jun the one who had to pull the family back together at his own expense
after he went through
the most? I suppose that's where you can now open up conversations about the burdens that children carry. I mean, we often see it in the situation of the eldest child who is expected to carry on some. I'm talking out of the side of my mouth.
No,
I am the youngest.
I can confirm this.
Okay, there you go.
Deputy parent reporting for duty.
Yeah.
Over here having to, make sure that everything is happening, but also making sure that the younger siblings are, staying in line and they're doing what they're supposed to, because we don't want to be stressing out the parents. We don't want to be adding on to the parents, which is it's not fair, because then I ended up being the one now who's stuck in between, because then I'm trying to make sure that the parents are happy, but then the relationship with the younger siblings, there's like a tension there, and it's like why For what?
And then do you find there in that situation, you can answer if you want to or not, that because you have a few younger siblings, more than one, where then it's them and then you're an island kind of, but you're also a child in the family.
Exactly.
So you're not a parent.
Yeah.
So your parents are a unit, your younger siblings are a unit together, and you are.
Yeah, I'm the island here, and also with the whole. I think that's also probably why I do appreciate young Juna in this because then I also find myself in a situation where I'm just like, okay, but then I'm busy taking care of everyone, making sure that everyone is sorted out, but no one
is checking for you.
Is checking on me. No one is asking if I'm good, if I'm okay, do I need anything? It's kind of like, because I'm so capable and I can make sure that things are sorted out, it's kind of the assumption that, she's good. She's okay. We don't have to. If she's not visibly upset about something, or if she's not visibly objecting to something, it means she's okay. So, yeah. That's probably like my biggest connection with this drama as well, because I was just like, I get it. I get it.
Did watching the drama help you work through any of that? The situation might be the same.
Work through it, not necessarily, but then just recognize it. And be like, okay, yeah, that resonates. That makes a lot of sense. I see that. I get it. But as to working through it, not really. It was just kind of like, okay, yeah, that's it. That's
someone's put into words what I've
exactly
lived.
Yeah.
Well, not words, into celluloid and
yes,
a very tumultuous storyline.
So yeah, and I think as much as it's a crazy drama, it's hilarious. There's comedic relief throughout consistently, but it also addresses deeper things, like this whole situation with the parents. I remember after the first time I watched it, I was just like, what the heck? Because also it's undercover, the deepness of its depth. It's undercover. It's only later on when the whole story unfolds and you see each and every single aspect of it as it's laid out in front of you, then you're like, hectic. So it has the potential to overshadow the entire romantic side of the whole thing. But then I think because of my understanding of it, I was able to understand and then push past it to see the lighter side of things by force at times. But also at the same time, I was just like, okay, you know what? There's no need to focus on that. It's not my life on display here. It's just observing it from a different point of view, with other elements added to it. But yeah, it touched something. Yeah, for sure.
I think this is the one K-drama that this was very early in my viewing history of 200 plus. Anyways, where I'm like, I think I like it here. I think I'm going to stay here, Gwake, because you come in for one thing, and because I've got 16 episodes to take the story wherever.
Anything can happen.
And that kind of situation, I don't know in real life if that is even really possible. But the way that they portrayed it and the story that they told, I was hooked. I was like, oh, word? Y'all are gonna go there? I did not know we were going there.
Because when I say it's undercover, you kind of think you're focusing on what's his name, Youngjun
keeping Miso
and keep
in
Miso
the company,
staying together and making sure that she doesn't resign, because he tries everything. He tries to sabotage the interview with the replacement. He tries, but there's this thing that's lurking here, and then eventually it comes out, and it's kind of like it's like this, and then you're like, whoa, hectic. Because then it also affects not necessarily affects their relationship, but then it was a huge revelation to both of them. And even then also after Miso remembered, because she eventually gets to a point where something happens and she remembers the whole thing, but then also her then realizing that he knew all along, and then him now deciding and remembering how he tried to mute his own emotions for the good of everyone around him, deciding that he doesn't want her to go through the same thing and the same emotions and experiences that he went through. So then he tries to be a bit more overbearing and overprotective over her, and how she tries to fight that. So there's also all of that. It's lovely.
And
it's a lot though.
And there is where we see Park Seo-Jun's acting prowess. Acting prowess coming to the fore. Like, as much as the arrogance of Lee Young-jun was grating, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
The way he portrayed him and the way that he portrayed the emotions when he eventually did allow himself to remember and feel and confront his parents and his brother. That whole tense confrontation that was 20 some odd years in the making. The way he portrayed that was, I'm like, my guy, you are an actor,
the growth that you see,
the growth that he portrays as he goes along. Like, he was always a lovable rogue, actually.
Yeah.
Even when he was being his most arrogant self, like it was kind of lovable because it was PSJ.
Yeah.
But I think he did the things. He brought. And it's part of the reason we stand for PSJ. We stand.
100%, yeah. And then also comparing him to what's his name in She Was Pretty, his character in She Was Pretty. There, I don't even want to call it growth, what he did. It was just two personalities. It feels like. It made no sense.
It was jarring.
So it was a jarring, complete pivot. But with Secretary Kim, I guess the storyline also, I don't know, maybe it probably is the storyline in the way the drama was written with She Was Pretty.
Written and directed, probably.
It was just like...
different time.
You went from cruel to all of a sudden, I love you. From whence? But yes, She Was Pretty. What's Wrong with Secretary Kim?
Peak PSJ. It's a one class if you really want to see him shine.
But also Hwarang was surprising. It's a bit of a rough start.
And also the female lead does get annoying towards the end.
Female lead is also kind of like, ugh. But PSJ comes through, shines through. Their relationship, that's where I first clocked his relationship with V and
Park Hyun-sik.
Yeah,
so part of the Wooga squad.
Yes, the Wooga squad, which is in that docu I was talking about earlier on.
Choi Woo-sik is fourth member, and then the fifth one is Peak Boy.
Yes, I was about to say.
I can never remember his name, his real name, but
yeah. Solid squad that is.
I find it cute. I'm like, this brotherhood. We need more of that in life.
There's nothing like heartwarming, like a solid, real
brother. Not even a sisterhood. A brotherhood is what gets me in my feels. I'm like, yes, guys, connect,
please,
be friends, talk to each other,
help each other, like hold each other's hand, and be okay with it.
And be okay with hugging your friend,
like. And like be in there with each other.
Yes.
Be in the soup with each other. I had to. It was right there.
So who chose the name?
I don't know.
The person who's watched it. Why in the soup?
No.
Okay.
I can't tell you.
Be in the soup with each other.
Go in. It's beautiful.
Is that our take-home message for today?
It's not our take-home message, but we will say one more thing.
Yeah.
It's really, 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 really like heartwarming and like, in the feels when we see that type of support for guys.
Yes.
Like not you like men trying to influence each other to be bad or...
We're not talking red pill society. We're not talking podcasts in the dark. We are talking about men rediscovering a healthy masculinity, talking to one another, holding each other accountable, holding each other to, spurring each other on to better
greatness
together. Because it's possible, guys, and it's beautiful when we see it, and we as your sisters love to see it.
Please and thank you. So critical.
I feel like we need to do like an edition for the K brothers.
Hey,
for our brothers in the one day. we're gonna do one just for y'all, like recommendations. We're lighter on the romance, so you know.
Hey, maybe we'll ask him in Junior what he's.
Oh no, he's coming. Like
yes,
like
and we have him in here, and then we like
we'll have a third chair, like a rotating third chair, just to get more of the family in here. Yeah. And that concludes this episode of Quarter to Kimchi. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and share the video. Help us build this community. I've been looking for a name, for like a nickname for the few.
I've also been like here and there thinking about it. I don't know. Let's give it some thought.
Anyway, if you have any ideas, let us know.
Yeah.
Find us also on Apple or Spotify, or that's where we have the audio as a podcast. And follow us on Instagram. Quarter2, number 2. Quarter2 Kimchi, like you see on our channel. For updates and discussions, I promise you I'm gonna get on there. And if you would like to recommend a K-drama, you can leave a recommendation in the comments, or you can email us on Kota2TO Kimchi, so KOTATO Kimchi, KIMCHI @gmail.com. Yeah, that's where you'll find us.
Yeah.
And on that note,
annyeong.